Hi, welcome back. Today we are removing the secondary clutch so we can inspect the bearing for the main drive shaft. The drive shaft has two bearings, one on the gearbox side and one on the CVT side. The one on the gearbox side gets lubrication from the gearbox oil, but the one on the CVT side is only lubricated by the lube it has inside itself. So over time that dries up, so it's smart to check, and I'm guessing on this old snowmobile it probably never had been checked. So okay, come along. So we're gonna start with getting this belt off. On newer sleds you push on this side, but this one is kind of opposite, so you have to push and twist on the inner sheave to make the belt come loose. Now you can loosen the bolt, holds it. It's important when you loosen that you get all the bolts and washers. Just keep them in the same order as they were. Now this should slide right off. Yeah. Now we have it out. Now that the secondary clutch is out, you can see that we have quite easy access to the drive shaft bearing or main shaft. But I think I'm gonna clean up a bit as well when I'm down here. 13. Yes. Nope. How is that bearing held in place? The engine. Okay. The problem is if the bearing falls out and the axle falls down, you're in a world of trouble. It's not fixable, but it's a lot of work. Yeah. Well, that was exactly what I didn't want to happen. Anyway, damage is already done, so normally this is a complete or on other sleds that I worked on, this was a complete cover, so you could take this off and then you'd access the bearing. But on this one I see that I didn't have to take it off. So, well, what's done is done. So it turns out the lid that I was planning to take off is just gently pressed against the axle. So, oh. Okay, now that this ring is covering, there's actually this ring covers the plastic ring on the bearing. Try with a super small one. You can get it between the bearing and the plastic cover without breaking it. Okay, so by gently you can get a screwdriver in here, and you can just remove the seal ring. Be really careful so you don't damage it. So now that you have the seal ring off, it's really hard to get the camera down there, but you can see it looks pretty old, so we'll put some new grease in, put on the seal ring and put it back together. I'm gonna use XPS grease, just because that's what I have. Couple of dots. I like to take a small screwdriver, just without being crazy, I just work it a bit in, so it's not just sitting on the outside. And also, before putting the seal ring back on, I like to just put some little bit of grease on the inside. Firstly, of course, clean it up, but I just give it a good clean, then just push that back on, make sure we seat it properly. Now you see most of the grease that was on the axle goes with the seal ring into the bearing. Just make sure it's properly on. Cleaned up the parts for the bearing. I'll start by putting on the outer seal. Then it's time for the cover. One of the bolt holes lines up quite good. Let's start with that one. What's happened is exactly what I didn't want to happen. It's kind of on its way out, which is no bueno. Yep. So what happened is that the tension of the track is pulling the axle backwards, so the entire holder for the bearing and also the bearing is kind of coming off. So now I have to take the tension off the track and then we can put it back on. So you can see the track is already pretty loose because of the axle popping out. So I'm just gonna undo this rear bolt and then we'll loosen up the track. I also decided that I'm just gonna take the entire skid out because I've been wanting to inspect it anyway. So yeah. Little cheat trick for later when we're putting it back together. Measure how far it's sticking out. About 4.5 centimeters. I'm gonna take the other side and then I'm gonna start loosening up the bolts for the skid. A pro tip, or not so much pro tip, but at least a tip: don't put your snowmobile up on the sled lifter when you're trying to get the skid out, because the sides on the sled lifter will come directly in the way of the skid. So I've been struggling quite a bit to get it out, but now it's out, and now we can mount the bushing again for the drive shaft. So now that the track is completely loose, the axle centers itself much more instead of being pulled backwards as it was before. So now it's just to get this ring here with the nuts and all the bolts to line up. So I don't know the exact torque spec for this, but this one gives about 60 Newton. So one thing that's smart to do when you have the clutches out and in the open like this is just give them a good rub. Make sure there's no dirt and debris. Also smart to wear some clean gloves, which I didn't. If your gloves are full of oil, so will your clutch be, so get rid of any grease or oil. Then we are ready to put this one back on. Since none of the bushings or anything here has grease nipples, I'm just gonna take them out, or at least the easy ones. I think I'm gonna do a complete rebuild of the skid later on, but for now I'm just gonna grease up the main points with some. Probably not the best way of doing it, but at least the bushing is gonna last a bit longer. This wheel, quite bad. It's okay, but it spins slowly. Rear ones are pretty much good. This one spins, but yeah, and this one is the worst. But the bearings are changeable, so I think I'm gonna try to just change the bearing instead of ordering the wheels. And also the springs are set on the softest setting. Technically, if you adjust the preload on the spring, the sled is just gonna be more bouncy, but I think I'm gonna try and adjust it up so it's maybe 1 or 2 so it's just 2 notches stiffer, just because I'm guessing this has given in over time. So just to make it a bit more stiff. Can just undo that, it will be much easier. Yeah, we're gonna do that. There we go. Now that's one stiffened up. I think we're gonna try and do the same thing with the front one, but that was much easier if you would just take it completely out of the sled. Well, there we have it. Now I'm just going to take it over in the vise and twist it. So you can see here, there's this, and it's the same on this one. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you put it on number 3, that's the middle setting, so not too stiff, not too soft. That's number 1 and 2. Now we're gonna put the shocks back in, and then we're gonna move over to putting the secondary clutch back in. So that's the shock absorbers back on and tightened up a bit. Now we're gonna move over to the secondary clutch, mount that, and then I think we'll call it a day. So now we're back at the clutch. I'm gonna clean up the track for the locking pin. So now this one should sit quite nicely in there. Wipe off any excess grease. This was quite a tight fit. And it's just the bolt. Clutch on. So that's it for this video. Hopefully by next week I'm gonna get more of the parts that I've ordered. So that's gonna be a more fun one, because you're gonna see some changes and some actual upgrades and changing parts. So see you in the next one.